Class is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hey everyone, it's Brian Kaz here, joined by my friend and business partner, Sean Casey. We have another Wednesday marketing webinar for you. This one is 5 more ways that you can make money with WebFire. So last week we had 5 ways as well. Those 5 ways were basically geared more towards like services and stuff that you could sell. Whereas this week it's more on like 5 additional ways outside of services and stuff. So there's a handful of you that were basically asking if we could talk about non-service ones. So we thought we'd throw together 5 more here that you guys can see. So without further ado, we can get the show on the road with that. So as always, these calls are every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, which is right now, where we'll have live training and or a Q&A call for our members. If you're here or you're registered for this series, you'll get a reminder each week so you don't forget. But if you can't make one, we'll have the recordings in the members area within a day of any of the calls under the training tab on the left side navigation bar. And if you want a chance to win $100 at the end of the call, make sure that you sign up for our free Facebook group, which you can get to if you go to getwebfire.com/FB group. Just click the join button. It is free. And if you're not yet a member of that free group right there, just click the join button at that link, and Sharon will probably approve of you within a few minutes or so if you do so right now. And then towards the end of the call, we'll give you some easy instructions on what to do to get a chance to win $100 at the end of this call, which we'll actually do live. So someone will walk away with 100 in just a bit. Now we can move on to our training for this week, where we'll cover 5 more ways to make money with WebFire, geared more towards like affiliate offers or your own products and stuff instead of services and stuff like last week. Now, of course, if this is basically a topic of interest to you, make sure to check our prior trainings as well, as we have several other ones focused on basically different ways of making money with all this stuff too. So if this is basically a topic of interest, make sure to check those, including last week on the services and stuff that you can do to make extra dough as well. Just make sure to click on the training tab inside of WebFire, then click on the Wednesday calls, and you'll see the most recent ones at the top. You'll see this one there, probably by this time to tomorrow at the latest. And you can also search by keywords through the trainings as well to get basically all of the topics that are of interest to you. Now, for the overview for today, we'll basically cover the 5 additional ways to make money with WebFire. Then we'll have the Q&A. So if there's any calls or any questions, I should say, not calls, if there's any questions, whether they're relevant to these 5 or last week or anything at all related to marketing or anything like that, feel free to ask those. And either Sharon or Sean will answer you in the chat, or towards the end of the call, we'll have the time there to basically answer any questions live and stuff too. And then we'll give some cash away after that. So moving on to the training, the first way of the 5 ways is to use the Video Firestorm tool inside of WebFire to create review summaries of products. Now, this is a little bit different than a normal review, and oftentimes I find people like the idea of writing reviews and stuff like that, but they hate the idea of having to review products themselves. More so like they hate having to play around with the product or get the product, or they think that they're basically limited to only the products that they have. And this is a trick to get around all that. So what you basically do is you create simple, short videos that summarize all the reviews or opinions you've read online about a particular product, as well as summarizing your overall feelings for the product. And you can do this regardless if you own the product or not, because again, what you're basically doing is you're summarizing other reviews and stuff out there, and you're not even hiding the fact that you're summarizing them. You can be blunt and say you're summarizing all the reviews out there that you've read. And this is actually a pretty cool thing to do, because if, let's say, like, to give you an idea or to give you an example. So, I've bought a handful of TVs, in my time, and each time, I want to make sure, probably like everyone else, that they're getting a good TV, or they're getting a good deal or a good model. And I'll spend a decent amount of time researching, like, hey, what is a good one for watching movies? What's a good one for playing games? What is a good one that does both of these? What's a good one that isn't insanely expensive or won't burn out? Like, basically, you're looking for the best bang for your buck that is basically tailored to the needs that you want. And for every review that you find, you tend to find, like, sometimes people with completely opposing views. One might say this is the best TV ever within this price range. Another might say this absolutely sucks. And a third might say, hey, it's okay. And if you're, like, looking for reviews out there, oftentimes you're kind of confused, like, wait, this guy just said this is really awesome, so I got excited about this, but now this other guy said it really sucks. And if you've ever looked at even Amazon reviews and stuff, you probably see the same thing. If there's a product that has like 4 or 4.5 stars out of 5, you'll still find the occasional review that's a 1 star where a person says it absolutely sucks, even if there's 1,000 people that say it's a 5-star out of 5 star. So what this basically does is you create like a review where you say, hey, you're summarizing all the reviews out there of this product or offer, to give, like, basically good overview of all the pros and cons and stuff. And then you summarize your overall feelings of the product and such too. Like you say, hey, based upon all the reviews out there, here are the common things that everyone seems to really like. Here are the few things that a handful of people complain about. But here's my overall opinion. It's that the people complaining about it, for example, might just be a very small, tiny amount that have had a bad experience, whereas the vast majority have had a great experience with it. Or it could be, hey, the people that are complaining about it might be the hardcore guys that are basically looking for like a $6,000 TV, whereas the ones that are looking for like $1,000 one find this a really awesome deal and the best bang for your buck, which would be a good summary right there. And people love these because, again, they feel like it saves them time from having to read 1,000 reviews out there, or even like 5 or 10 reviews out there. And it's super easy for you to do, because you could spend maybe 15 minutes doing the research, maybe a half hour tops, and have all the information you need to make these. Now, you want to make sure that you do keyword research within WebFire to really target the best review type keywords while still making the title appealing. And what I mean by this is, you don't want to just say, review of product X. I mean, you could, or product X review or something like that. That can sometimes work, but you have to make sure everyone else and their mother isn't trying to target the exact same keyword. Now, for some lesser known products and such, you might find that there's not really a lot of people trying to target a term like, product X review. And that might be a great keyword to then target because it might get a decent amount of traffic. But for some more popular ones, you might find that, hey, in the top 10 results on Google, it appears that like 7 or 8 have that exact keyword phrase in their title, meaning you'll have a much harder time to actually rank. When, ideally, whether you're on YouTube or Google, you want to find ones where, 2 or less have that exact phrase on page 1 somewhere in their title. And if there's two or less, that means you have a very good chance of showing up on page 1 of Google or YouTube on that right there. And if there's like 0 that have that exact phrase somewhere in their title, that means you have basically an awesome chance of ranking on page 1. And in fact, it'd be almost impossible not to I think, unless you do really bad job on that there. But at the same time, you want to make sure that not only you target a good keyword, but you want to also make it appealing at the same time. For instance, let's say you find that a good keyword might be product X review 2018. Okay, let's say there's not a lot of competition there. You say, hey, that's a good one there. Instead of just having a plain title of just that, you can have those keywords in the title, but also have additional words like product X review 2018 dash summary of the good and bad, or all the good and bad and what to watch out for, or some kind of term like that, where it's kind of appealing and gets people kind of curious and get someone to click through because they're like, gee, I want to know what the bad is, because everyone tends to want to know that. At the same time, if you bluntly say that it's like a summary, the good and the bad, people feel that it saves them a lot of time, and you'll get more click-throughs on. And now the format of the video, which you could also do the exact same concept as just a blog post, so keep that in mind too, and you can get additional rankings by basically making it both a video as well as a blog post. But in both cases, the format is simple. You want a title that is both SEO friendly, like we just talked about, as well as appealing. Then you want a brief overview of the product, and don't make this like terribly elaborate, because if someone's looking for a review of a product, chances are they know what the product is. But if you spend just like maybe 2 sentences or so explaining what the product is, I find that sometimes helps, just in case like a person is looking for a review, but they don't like fully understand the product yet. That can help a little bit, but I mean, don't spend more than like 2 or 3 lines tops on that. And then have pros and cons. If it's a blog post, you can list it out as like essentially bullet points. You can do the same thing on like a video, like 1 or 2 slides or so can list off basically the pros, 1 or 2 slides can list off the cons. And if it's a summary, you can say these are the common things that people really like. These are the common things that people really do not like. And then have your conclusion. And your conclusion is basically just a few lines that conclude the entire thing and give your opinion of if it's a good deal or in what cases it's a good deal. For instance, let's say you use the TV as an example. And let's say overall, you think it's like an insanely awesome offer for basically TV less than $1,000. And you can say at that point, even though there's some models for $5,000 that are a bit better than whatever model right here, this is by far the best TV for less than $1,000, and it's comparable to several in the $2,000 to $3,000 range too. So in my opinion, unless you're looking to drop 5 or 6 grand, this is the model that you want to get. So that would be a good example of a conclusion there. And then you have a call to action, which basically would just be like your affiliate link or wherever you want to send them to. And it could be, so if you're looking to grab this, the best deal I found out there is right here. And then you give the link. And you'd have it there as well as in like the description or the comments in like a video or on your blog post. You'd have it be very obvious, be like a very large link that you can clearly see. And you want to tell them specifically to go there and click there to get the best deal right there. And if you just say click here, that can actually increase the amount of people that click, because ironically enough, not everyone necessarily knows that a blue link is something to actually click. And even so, if you tell them to click here, it just naturally encourages people to click more there. So make sure to do that. So, and even if you spend just like a little time each week and make like one of these a week or even like a couple a month, they don't take a ton of time, but over time they can start to drive extra sales and stuff your way, especially if you target basically affiliate programs that pay well, that are at least somewhat popular and get sales, or even pay reoccurring income. Those can all be great things to go after there to make it really worthwhile. Number 2 is you can create content answering common questions. This can be blog posts or videos, and then monetize with affiliate offers for the solutions. So here you do keyword research and basically forum or Q&A research to see what kind of questions people are searching in any given niche. So in any niche out there, you'll find tons of questions. I don't care what the niche is. There's probably thousands and thousands of different kinds of questions, but there's probably at least several dozen very common questions out there. I don't care if they're looking to buy a moped. I don't care if they're looking to buy a TV. I don't care if they're looking to buy a computer, or even if they're looking to buy some like sewing kit stuff. You know, there's always questions. And usually if you just do a little research on the keyword side as well as within forums and Q&A sites, pretty quickly you'll see like what the most common kinds of questions are. And even if there's a question that doesn't necessarily get a lot of searches according to keyword tool, I find if it gets any, it tends to be worthwhile to often target because they tend to be super easy to rank for. And even if you get like 20 hits a month, you know, which doesn't sound like a ton until you think about it, over the course of a year, that's 240 hits for something that took you, you know, maybe a half hour to do, and is extremely well targeted to whatever offer you have or that you're an affiliate for, because it's a common question that a possible buyer might have. And considering that, like, you know, almost anything that you could think of probably has a minimum of at least 20 hits that you can get a month. Consider the fact that like a lot of those might be hundreds of hits each month. It's really worthwhile at that point right there. But then you want to make sure to target the questions in your titles or your title tags and provide an insightful, easy to read answer. So whether you make a video on it, whether you make a blog post on it, you want to make sure that the question appears in the title. And then you kind of more like, let's say if the question is, let's say it's what to look for in a standing desk. Right next to that, you could say, you know, your a good example that would be, you know, if that was a good keyword, you could have a title of, you know, what should you look for in a standing desk, and then right next to it say the 5 most important things, or the 5 key things, or anything like that, to kind of make it pop out a bit more so people know there's clearly an answer there. Or going back to like the TV example, you know, what to look for in, you know, an LED TV, or it could be what to look for in an LED TV for gaming, or for Xbox, or for PlayStation, or for HDR movies, or whatever it might be. You could basically target a bunch of questions like that, and then have an easy, insightful, easy to read answer. And what I mean by that is oftentimes I see guys that try to basically rank for a question, and then the answer that they give is like 5 pages long. And realistically, people don't want to read a novel for a simple question. Like, you know, if you're like, let's say you have a question, like let's say you have like a cooking site, and let's say your question is, what temperature should a baked potato be at in the oven? You don't want to have 20 pages about the logistics of the baked potato. You want an answer of 425 degrees Fahrenheit for 50 minutes. So it doesn't have to be all that long. Now, you can add some extra details, but keep in mind, people want a short answer a lot of the time, so don't waste a ton of time, don't do a ton of work on stuff that no one really cares about either. You want to make sure it's super easy to read. If you can do like basically bullet points or anything like that, that can help as well. Then you want to follow it up with specific affiliate recommendations. So let's say if you're doing the TV example, after you say, you know, after you answer the question, you want to make sure to give some recommendations based upon the answer that you gave. Let's say they are most interested in HD movies, and they want to know like what models would be best for that. You can recommend saying, hey, if you're looking for basically a good budget one that performs basically almost as well as some of the super expensive ones. This is the model right here, and then give a link right there. If you're looking for like the best of the best regardless of price, this is the best one right here, but it definitely comes at, you know, a cost or a price, and then you can leave a link right there. So kind of like a layout like that tends to work you know, really well, especially if you give a specific affiliate recommendations. And you can basically turbocharge this by using the lead tools within WebFire to find specific people and such asking such questions and point them to your link with the answers. And you can do this for almost anything that you could possibly think of, and it comes off as really useful. If like a person's asking a question like, you know, hey, you know, what should I look for in a standing desk, or what is the difference between the really cheap desks and the real expensive ones for the standing desks? If you have a blog post or you have a video that basically answers that, you can give like a sentence or two that summarizes it, and then say, for a more detailed explanation, here's a link to something that lays it all out right there. And you know, it's not like you're saying, here's a link, click here and buy, which kind of comes off as spammy. You're basically saying, hey, to answer your question, this link right here answers all that. And if you give like a summary of like a sentence or so, that adds even more value, and it makes you come off as like a legit guy. And this is a great way to find like all these leads out there asking questions that you can also answer and send them back to your blog post or your video. And the cool part with that is you're not just helping that one lead there, because you know, hundreds of thousands or even tens of thousands of people might find the very question that that guy was basically asking. They might find the post or the Q&A site or whatever it might be, and they'll see the answer that you gave, and you can drive a lot of traffic over time by just basically taking a minute or two to answer a single guy. All right, way number 3 is to use the guest blog tool inside of WebFire to reach out to blogs in your niche that accept guest blog posts to get extra exposure for your products, as well as extra authority and rankings as well. So it's kind of like there's extra benefits on top of the extra traffic and such. So you can use the guest blog tool and submit guest blog posts to several relevant blogs that appear to have lots of readers, which again, inside of WebFire, you can use the guest blog tool, and it will give you a breakdown of what the Alexa ranking is, where the smaller the number, that's basically like if the number is 1,000, it means it's within the top 1,000 sites in the world, which is huge. If it's like 50,000, it's still quite big. It says it's within the top 50,000 sites in the world. Whereas if it's like 2 million, that means it's like, you know, probably not really all that big. So you can easily sort and see which ones are large and have lots of readers, and you can submit your guest blog post there quickly and easily, all while basically mentioning your offer without being too obvious. For instance, you don't want to just have a blog post that basically talks only about your product. No one really likes that. For instance, using the TV example, like let's say you sold a TV that you thought was a good model at a good price, that did more than basically models that were 2 or 3 times that price. You don't want to have every sentence talking about your TV. You want to say, hey, this is what to look for to get a great deal on a TV for HD or for whatever it might be. And you basically talk about like what kind of specs are important, yada yada. And then somewhere in there, you can basically say that's why, you know, you made this, or that's why you have this, or that's why you recommend this, or whatever it might be. So it's like casually mentioning it without being like too spammy on that right there. And that's what tends to you know, make sure that your guest blog posts actually show up and actually get accepted, is when you go about it like that. And this can not only drive extra traffic to your offers, but it can help your rankings and paint you more and more as an authority in your niche. And you can greatly increase your chances of getting exposure by making sure that your content is legitimately awesome and useful. And you can also, like, let's say you just want to be like, you know, like you can take the exact same idea or concept here and have it be on your own blog. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a guest blog post, but you can take kind of like a twist on this, and you can have an article that could be like a case study of yours, or it could be an example, and you could list off various tools and stuff that you use to accomplish what you did. Like I saw a pretty good example. I don't know if it was in Forbes or what, but it's some big site like that, where it was basically a guy that said, you know, how he started, you know, an online business for $500, and he basically mentioned, like, you know, 3 or so tools that he used, which you know, is kind of like a very under the radar way of trying to like get traffic and stuff to various tools and stuff, which, you know, if you have those as yours, you have those as like affiliate links, that can be another great way to get extra sales or extra affiliate income and stuff too. There is just give like examples like that, post it on social media, or basically post it in forums and sites and stuff like that as well, to kind of fly under the radar as well right there. Way number 4 is to use the competition backlink tool to get basically traffic from the same sources your competitors do. And this is really, really neat here. So you can use the competition backlink tool here to find out where your competitors get their traffic from, and then instantly email those sources to inquire about guest blog posting, paid ads, sponsored mailings, so on and so forth. So whether you get in those on those sites for free through like a guest blog post, or whether you pay for like an ad, or you pay for like a mailing, any of those are fine. But if your competition uses them, most likely it's for a reason, especially if they've been using them for a while, or if you see that, hey, like what's really awesome about you know, about the tool here is that you can see what their top sources of traffic are. So if you see that, hey, the main source of traffic appears to be like these 5 sites here, you know that that's probably for a reason. They're probably sending a decent amount of traffic. They're probably worthwhile for you to get in touch with, because if your competitors are, you know, it's probably worthwhile for you to as well. And you can email those guys with a click of a button through the software as well, right there. Now, there is a cool twist on this, you know, idea or this concept here too. In a similar fashion, you can use the same tool to, instead of reaching out to these guys to advertise on or get a guest blog post on, you can reach out to the competition even, or to where the competition gets its traffic from, to basically propose potential white label type deals, or basically any other kind of a partnership. And again, a white label deal, which we've talked about on past calls and stuff, is basically where you allow someone to sell your product or service under their own name, while you basically take care of all the work and stuff there, and you guys get basically a split of the sales and stuff there. So it's a way to make sales without having to really market much, or really market at all, because they'd be doing that work for you, where a single deal can actually make an entire business. There's several businesses out there that are really based upon single deals like this right there. So it can really be worth your time to think this through. And this is a great tool to find those guys to reach out to. Yeah, so definitely think that through, especially if you have some kind of a product or service that you think someone else could really benefit from. Take the time to reach out to those guys right there who might be interested in selling it themselves. So this is a great tool to find people that you maybe never even knew existed that might be worthwhile to reach out to. And last but not least, way number 5, you can use the SEO and keyword tools inside of WebFire to find hidden gems where you can easily rank for big affiliate payouts, or for easy products that you can make as well. Because it's not that hard to make a lot of products, and we can talk a bit about that in a minute or so. But there's tons of niches and sub niches out there that are often wide open from a ranking perspective. Even some of the biggest niches out there have wide open sub niches where there's either affiliate offers with big payouts or easy product ideas. And it could be as easy as interviewing someone and turning it into a product. So you know, you don't have to necessarily make a product yourself. You could just be an affiliate of one, or you could basically interview an expert and turn that into a product itself. I actually know a guy who actually did that in the diabetes niche and paid a gal, I think like $50 or so, to do an interview and make essentially a product with her. And then that was all that he had to pay, and he turned that into a 6-figure business all by itself right there. And then later, of course, he got her to make some additional products and such, and I think he paid her more then, but it was like maybe like 100 instead of $50. So it's still massive profit right there. And if you really put the effort into it, you can have a website created and optimized as well as a product made all within a day. It'll be a busy day, but you can do it all within a day. It doesn't have to take a lot of time, especially with basically the tools inside of WebFire that can help you optimize that site and basically tweak it to try to rank for the best and the easiest keywords out there, and then optimize and fix your site and have it be adjusted to try to rank for those keyword terms and stuff there. And again, it's not that hard to go out and create a product or even just be an affiliate for one out there after you get the site ranked right there. And here's a pro tip. Even if you do 10 of these and 9 fail, that's okay. As the one that works, you can then build out basically a funnel to grow the profits more and more, all while also expanding the traffic you drive to that one. So oftentimes people only try one thing, and they put all their eggs in a single basket, and it's like, hey, if this works, great. If not, I'm done. And that's kind of the dumbest thing that you could possibly do, because it's kind of like, like if you take, let's say, the greatest baseball players in the world, okay, it's kind of like them saying, hey, I'm going to try to go at bat one time, and if I get a home run, awesome, I'm going to go into pro baseball. But if I miss it, just that first time, but if I miss that first one, I'm done, I suck, and I give up. Because again, even the best pros out there miss a ton of times. Especially in like baseball, they'll miss probably like 19 out of 20 times, and they'll still be considered pros when they make that one home run right there. So don't be afraid of failing a bunch of times, because if you get just one to work even a little bit, you can then expand it by trying to think of additional products that you could offer, additional upsells that you could have in a funnel, and then additional ways that you could drive more and more traffic there. And you can really grow that little win into a huge win. But it has to start by taking some kind of action right there. And then, of course, you can always expand the traffic, look into extra deals and partnerships and stuff that you can make, but it all has to start right there. And I find oftentimes people either don't take the time to start one, or they do kind of like a half-assed job, and then if they don't make like $1 million the next day, they give up on that right there. And that's kind of the dumbest thing that you could possibly do, when, again, if you did like 10 of these, chances are you'd have at least one or so do at least decently okay, or at least have some success right there that you can expand upon and grow from there. So with that, we have plenty of time for an extended Q&A. And then we'll do the cash giveaway right after. So if you have any questions that haven't been answered yet, I know Sean and Sharon have been answering some, feel free to type out those. And after that, of course, we'll have some extra time. We'll have some extra time for the Q&A, but you can also go to our Facebook group at getwebfire.com/FB group. Join for free if you're not a member yet. Sharon has a post up asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave a comment within that post right there, we'll pick a random winner in a bit. But for right now, we'll do the extended Q&A right here. And I'm just going to pause for a second to see what the questions are. Unless, Sean, if you're on and you've seen some that stand out to you, feel free to mention those. But all right, so let's see here. All right, there's several questions here. All right, so Francis appears to have an SEO related one right here. He says, well, I'll try to sum up his question here. Basically, he's asking, if you have a client that's paying you for SEO, first, do you need to have the password for their site? And second, what do you do to stop the ranking if they no longer pay you, like if you're charging a monthly fee? Well, two things. Yes, if you're changing like basically things like title tags and stuff with, you know, the SEO analysis tool we have, you would need to have either like, you know, their FTP or basically password, but that's really easy to get. And if they don't know, you can check with their host, and it's super easy to get that. But yeah, to change anything on the site, typically you'd need some kind of password or FTP. And for your second part, if let's say they're paying you like $500 a month, and after the third month they stop, you're basically asking, how can you stop the ranking? Well, you're thinking like in a very odd way. You know, it's like you can't necessarily stop them from ranking. I mean, if you got them to rank with the work that you did, chances are they'd probably want you to continue to get more additional rankings and stuff like that, and to maintain that. But if they stop after the third month, consider the fact that, hey, you just got paid $1.5 grand to not really do a ton of work. And you know, if you did a good job for them, yeah, they might think, oh, gee, my goal was to get ranked for this term. I got ranked, so therefore I'm going to quit. If that's the case, let them. You can find additional clients. You did a good job there. You can use them as an example. But on top of that too, if you really push how, you know, there's additional terms that they should really want to rank for and stuff like that, they're likely to stay. But you don't want to try to basically punish a guy by trying to take away his rankings and stuff, because it's kind of not the concept you want to have. You want to have more of a mindset of, how can I get additional sales and additional clients, rather than like what happens if one client eventually leaves, because eventually clients will leave. You know, it's kind of like the mindset of, there's people that try to build, you know, like a mailing list, and they're super concerned about, well, what happens if I send an offer and someone unsubscribes? What then? So I never want to send an offer ever, because I'm super afraid of losing one guy who unsubscribes. Well, if you never send an offer ever in your life, you'll still get some unsubscribes, believe it or not, but you won't make anything. You won't make a penny. Whereas if there's a guy that unsubscribes or leaves, that's perfectly fine. It just means he wasn't a good fit, or he's not a good fit at that moment, but you have a chance to make money off of them and all the rest of the leads and stuff too. So definitely try to tweak your mindset right there a bit. Okay. All right, John asks here, what type of interviews work best for recruiting like sales guys or basically agents like that? Well, I find usually you want to have guys that have like basically a history of making sales, that can show what they've basically done, because that's one where, you know, you can kind of train a guy in how to make sales, but you don't necessarily want to take that time. It's not necessarily easy to train guys on that. So usually just look for guys that have some kind of history of making sales, or it's an extra bonus if they already have a bunch of contacts in certain fields that you're interested in. So oftentimes you'll find some sales guys in certain fields that have a ton of contacts for maybe a prior job that might match up perfectly with what you're trying to sell them. Like maybe maybe they sold, I don't know, maybe they worked for like the Yellow Book, and they sold Yellow Book ads to a bunch of businesses. Well, maybe they never did anything with SEO, but if they already have all of the contacts on this side, if they already are used to basically talking to the businesses and such, that would line up basically perfectly in this case, even though, you know, it's not really identical to what you might sell now. The prospects and all that, and the sales methods, you know, would line up good there. All right, next question here. Okay, so Steve asks here, he says he's been building a learning management website to offer courses paid and free. What kinds of courses do you think would be best to target for high fees per registration? Well, I'm not quite sure what exactly you're selling, and you can feel free to basically specify. I'm not sure if you're selling like a management website itself, where like other providers might list stuff, or if you're selling like the software side, or if you're literally making the courses and stuff yourself and you're trying to have one stop for all these courses, I think it's very hard to be like the one-stop shop for all the courses out there, because you're trying to basically be like a YouTube, if that's the case, whereas instead you want to kind of niche it down to one specific area. Now, there could be like sub niches and stuff within that area, but try to focus on just that, because it's super easy then, or I should say easier, to then focus in on just that group right there. And as far as like what would be the best target for, you know, high fees, you know, it depends on your market, depends on the training. You know, usually anything that has to do with like health or wealth or hobbies or anything like that, or even dating, anything like that tends to be like, you know, it has to be one of the larger markets where, you know, pretty much the vast majority of people are either interested in, or you know, at least a good chunk are, because there's only a handful of main markets out there, but there's like millions of sub niches within those right there. So it's usually better to be basically geared more towards one, rather than have basically, hey, this is my learning site where you can learn anything and everything that you could possibly want. Sign up for X amount of money right now, because people think, oh, that's basically what YouTube's for, and that's free. Now, having said that, you certainly, if you focus in on a niche, you can give out some free content, and then kind of have it be as like essentially funnel to get that lead and to lead them into some paid stuff as well. But try not to think too large to start with. Try to think, hey, how can I niche this down and zone in well right there. All right. This person asks here, Addy asks, do I really need a website if I just want to promote a good-looking affiliate link with a landing page already? Can WebFire just send me targeted traffic that way? Yeah, you certainly can just send traffic to, you know, an affiliate link. But if you're sending, basically, like right now, it seems like you're sending traffic to an affiliate link that goes to a landing page. The issue there is that you're giving someone else leads. And if those guys don't buy, you don't get paid. And chances are, oftentimes, if they go on a list, the vast majority, you know, of guys out there don't pay if they sell other stuff to those leads. So you're helping someone else get rich, basically. Which, if the numbers work and you make some really good affiliate sales, great, more power to the both of you. But what I would try to consider doing is having something on your end, whether it be a blog post that you drive the traffic to that then talks about different affiliate offers, or whether you drive it to an opt-in page that you control, that you can then, after they opt in, you can have like different affiliate offers that they can go to. But you're basically building some kind of an asset then, where it either is your own list or your own site, where, you know, you can retarget those guys, or you can have those guys see more ads and more stuff on your site. And if you're worried about, hey, I don't really want to do the extra work, you're overthinking. You can make a blogger.com blog in 3 minutes, okay? And if, you know, it's basically saying, hey, do you want to give up all that power because you didn't take 3 minutes to make that blog? Or if you use like the video Firestorm tool, you can make a video in minutes. So it's kind of like asking, hey, can I have a sandwich that is just plain bread and not have to worry about the lettuce and the meat and the mayo and the cheese and all that? You certainly can, but it will taste very bland and you'll be missing out. When if you already have the ingredients there, you can make the rest of the sandwich in like a minute and enjoy it much more. But you certainly could. And even with just an affiliate link, you could even use like the lead tools and stuff like that to find guys asking questions that you definitely could basically answer them right there and recommend a certain affiliate link in like a lot of cases like that. But oftentimes you'll get more value out of it if you have them go to, you know, some site or video or something that you control right there, or even try to build a list that you own as well, because you can then follow up and market to those leads even more. All right. All right. Catherine asked if we have a place where we show the replays and the slides. Yes, in the members area, under the training, we have the replays all posted within usually a day. And if it's a call like this that has the slides, we post up the slides as a PDF as well. All right. Steve asks here, what would be the strongest niches to start with? As I said, pretty much anything that deals with like health, or that includes like weight loss or anything like that, wealth, or any kind of like a hobby. Those tend to be among the best ones to start with, just because pretty much everyone has an interest in probably all those, at least at some point, and they're willing to spend money on those as well. And within those, there's like millions of sub niches as well, which you can see which ones might be easier to try to get into, or have a decent amount of searches and stuff like that. So don't overthink that too much right there. Okay. All right. All right. So this person asks here if we think paid or free traffic is best for quick results when promoting affiliate offers. Well, paid is usually faster because you can pay and basically get traffic a minute later. Whereas to get ranked or anything like that tends to take longer time, even though it's free. Or to like, like if you find a lead in like a forum and you post up and basically talk about an affiliate link, it takes at least a little bit for that lead to see that, whereas paid ads can be within like a minute. Of course, in one side you're paying money and another side you're not. You can easily do both at the same time, but at the end of the day, it's what is the ROI that you get? Like if you're paying $10 to make 30, or you're basically spending 5 minutes to make 30, both are good. So you just want to, whereas if you're spending a lot more and making a lot less, obviously it's not good right there, but you want to really do both. All right. All right. Jay asked here, what advice do we have for B2B marketing for online training programs? Now, I assume most of you probably know what B2B means, but there's B2C and B2B. So B2C is if you have an offer that you're basically a business and you're marketing to a consumer, like a weight loss product. Whereas B2B is a product or a service that you're marketing from one business to another. Like if you have like an SEO service, that would be more of a B2B type thing. As far as, if you're marketing training programs to them, that's fine and can work, but I would encourage you, Jay, and anyone else in that same boat, to think of, can you maybe turn the training into a service, especially a done for you type service? Because reason why, think of it this way: which offer sounds more appealing? Let's say that you're a business, and let's say you make, I don't know, let's say you make a few $100,000 a year. Okay, so you're like, some decently successful business, not necessarily the biggest guy out there, but you're making some dough. What sounds more appealing to you? If I said, hey, buy my $27 course on how to rank, or for $1,000, I'll do this and this to help get you ranked here, or for a few $100s a month, we'll do the work here to get you ranked for these terms right here to drive additional traffic your way. Oftentimes, if you're an entrepreneur, which basically pretty much all the business owners will be, they'll say, well, gee, I'd rather pay like $1 or $2 grand to have the work done than $27 to learn it, because they don't want to take the time to learn the stuff. They just want to get the stuff done because they see the benefit of it. Like, if you're a roofing business and you're basically building or basically fixing a lot of roofs, you don't want to spend a lot of time reading and watching a bunch of courses on how to rank your site, even if it's only like $27 investment, when you'd rather instead maybe pay $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 to get the work done, or even pay like $1,000 a month to get ongoing work done, knowing that in that case, a single sale could be worth thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars to you. So the value is much more for them right there. Now, having said that, to kind of prove that you know your stuff, you could turn a lot of your training into like almost like a freebie, like say, hey, here's what you need to do or here's how to rank well, or here's how a roofer in Atlanta, Georgia went from not being ranked at all to being the top ranked stuff or the top ranked guy. And just say, he at first had a crappy title tag. He didn't have any of the keywords in his content. He didn't do, he didn't use a schema, which is this. He didn't do this and this. And then after we fixed this, and that, he went from not being ranked at all to towards the top of #1, on Google for all these terms right here, just by this right there. So that gives the training that, oh, geez, I need to really fix this, and that. But naturally, they all say, I don't really want to take the time and I don't know how. So that's what I would do if I were in your shoes. But if you're just interested in selling the courses themselves, you just have to make sure that, again, like in that case, a similar approach might be talking about like the examples or case studies and stuff like that. Those work really well. Like, this is how a business maybe doubled their sales by this 5-minute tweak right here, or this is how this place made $50,000 extra by basically doing this 2-minute thing right here. And if you do like a blog post or like a video where you explain what they basically did, and then say how they can learn that trick and more, in this special course right here, that can be a super appealing way to sell a course if that's what you want to do as well. And you can do both at the same time. You'd sell a course as well as sell the services and stuff too. All right, this person asked, is there an extra fee from Facebook if you show like a slideshow ad or like a video versus one? In image, the answer is no. Now, it might cost you more or less on the ad based upon what the click-through rate and stuff like that is, but you'll have to basically test that and see which one is more or less expensive for you. But by default, one is not necessarily automatically more or less. All right. Yeah, okay, for the SEO method, if you want to, you definitely could have like, they're basically asking if they could have like a different avatar or like a different site for, every topic or every state, within the US. So I think what you're trying to do is like, if you're selling like SEO, if you want to target individual like towns or states or cities, you certainly can have like different keywords for each one, but it depends what your goal is. Like, if you're trying to sell to roofers, okay, you can start by trying to basically market to roofers in Madison, Wisconsin, or Atlanta, Georgia, or New York, or wherever it might be right there. But usually if you just have like, let's say, a video that's specific for roofers, and you say how roofers can get ranked quickly and easily locally, and then you try to target all the roofers nationwide, that can save a lot of time, and that can work as well, especially if you're like paid ads or social media and Facebook and stuff like that, because people tend to think like, let's say you have an SEO offer. For whatever reason, the work that you do to rank a roofer is identical to what you do to rank a chiropractor. But for whatever reason, people always think that their business is unique and different. So, a roofer might say, oh, it's really cool how you ranked a chiropractor, but I'm not a chiropractor, I'm a roofer, so I don't think you can help me. When really it's like, duh, of course you could. But if they're like, gee, I'm a roofer, and they just showed an example and talked about how they helped a roofer rank, that's absolutely perfect. Or they showed how a roofer could rank. That's basically perfect because I'm a roofer too. So that's how you can get some good attention there. All right. Bonnie asked here, if they're creating review summaries, can they use another person's review video but with their affiliate link? Well, two responses to that. So I think what they're trying to do is say, can they use a video that's out there and just swap the links around? Well, if the video is on YouTube, you technically can embed that on any site that you want, and YouTube allows the rights to do that. And then at the very end, you could have your affiliate link on it. But you know, I'd encourage you to, if you're trying to do a summary, I probably wouldn't mention other reviews out there specifically, because it's kind of like you're advertising for someone else, which, you know, it might save you a minute or two or three, but these kinds of videos don't have to be terribly tough, because again, you're just saying these are the pros and cons of everything I've read right here, and based upon, you know, all this right here, this is what I think is the best deal right here. So you don't have to make it terribly complicated or basically anything like that, but you certainly could post a video on YouTube. You could embed it on your own site from YouTube, as YouTube does indeed, you know, allow that if you want. Okay. All right. So Catherine asks here, I'll try to sum up what I think she's asking here. She sells like outdoor stuff, and she sells everything outdoors. And she said that she heard it's best to show several things at once, in case they don't like one but might buy another. So basically, I think what you're saying, I could be wrong, but I think you're saying, like, let's say you sell outdoor pots, okay, like clay pots and stuff, and then you also sell you know, like other outdoor equipment like a badminton net, and you maybe sell, you know, an outdoor game and stuff too. I think what she's basically asking is, hey, I was told that if people come to buy, let's say, a pottery pot or plant, then that I should show additional outdoor things, since my store sells all this stuff, and in hopes that if they don't like what they came for, they might buy another thing. And the problem with that is, now you can certainly have a store where you sell a bunch of stuff, but typically when you're advertising for a specific thing, you want to send them to a specific page that sells only that. Reason being is, what people tend to basically do, if they're basically, if they're interested in buying, let's say, a pottery plant or vase or anything, and they click on your ad, or they click on your link for that, they're telling you right now they clicked to see a vase or to see a pot. And if you show that and then show like a bunch of basically other outdoor things that they don't really want, they get distracted and they're less likely to buy, because they're basically telling you, hey, it'd be kind of like, let's say you go to like a dealership and you say, I want to buy a minivan, okay? And the dealership says, well, here's one minivan right here, but oh, by the way, here's a sports car here, here's a nice coupe, here's a convertible here, and here's an SUV. Let's try all these, just in case you don't like that first minivan. Now, could you possibly change the mind of that person? Maybe, but more than likely, if you went to the dealership to buy a minivan, you want to buy a minivan. So chances are, they should show you maybe other minivans, but you want to focus on, that one thing right there. Now, if someone buys, let's say, a certain product from you, you certainly could have like multiple upsells that might be, related things that they might also like. That's perfectly fine too. But usually, the more you have on a single page, the more distraction you are. So especially when you're paying for ads, you want to send them to a specific offer. Now, if you're a store that has like a ton of products on it, that's perfectly fine. But if you're trying to pay for a specific ad, you want to make sure that you go to a specific product, because that tends to almost always get the best results out there. Yeah, so, and she basically said, okay, like let's say you're selling backpacks. Do you want to show a bunch of different kinds and brands and stuff? If you're let's say a general backpack store, yes, you can show a bunch of different brands. But if you advertise a specific backpack, that tends to like let's say you do a Facebook ad and you're showing a specific backpack, you absolutely want to make sure that when they click that picture of the backpack, that they go to a page specifically showing that backpack. Now, if they decide later that they might like a different backpack or an additional one, yeah, you can have the other backpacks somewhere on that page, but you want to make sure that the main thing that they see is the backpack that they clicked on first. Because if I basically click on a certain backpack, it might be because I like that backpack. So I want to make sure that I can buy that backpack. And there's oftentimes, like there's some sites that will have ads for something, then you click on it and you can't buy what you clicked on because they don't show it. They just show the general, basically category of it, and that tends to lose a lot of sales. But you certainly could, as long as you have the main thing that they first see be the backpack that they clicked on, you could have additional offers and stuff then too. It's kind of like the same thing, like if you're buying, let's say you're buying a shirt. Okay, which one do you think is easier to advertise? One that says, let's say an ad that says, hey, this is the greatest shirt site in the world, has tons of shirts. Click here to basically look at all these shirts. Or a specific ad for a specific shirt that has, like, let's say a funny saying, and you try to target specifically those kinds of people. Like, let's say it's a funny shirt on fishing, and you try to target specifically people that like to fish. More than 9 times out of 10, that will get better results than trying to drive everyone to the general shirt page right there. But you certainly can have it where, as long as they see the main thing, you can have extra things that they might see elsewhere on that site, but you want to make sure that you try to target people specifically as much as possible. All right, so with that, I think those are all the questions we've had. We can give some cash away now. All right, so to do that, you guys have to go to again, getwebfire.com/FB group, and you'll see a post up from Sharon there, basically asking what you thought of today's call. And if you leave a comment within that post right there, we will pick a winner within a few seconds here. So I'll just get the page up. Here it is right here. And you see, here's the post from about an hour ago. She's asking what you thought of today's call. If you leave any kind of comment there, whether it be like if you liked it or some other stuff that you'd like to see maybe covered next week or another week, let us know. And again, just click right here and leave a comment there. Of course, we always appreciate likes and shares and all that stuff too, as well. And we'll give you guys maybe another 10 seconds or so to leave a comment. All right, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, just gonna refresh the page. All right, so we have 20 plus these. Let me count just in case there's anyone outside. All right, there's 1. All right, 1 outside plus. So we have 31 so far, and someone else is writing. All right. All right, so 31 comments. That means there's a pretty good chance that you'll win. All right. Sean, who do you think the winner will be? 1 to 31.
31. Just as
All
good a
right.
number as any.
Which would be the one guy that basically posted outside of the main one. That'd be kind of funny.
Oh, I was so not close.
Yep. All right. 12. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12. All right. Brad Hoffman, if this is you or looks like you and you live in Pennsylvania, congratulations. You are $100 richer, which you could spend on either your kids or grandkids there, it looks like. Looks like you have a whole bunch of them there. So again, congratulations to you. What you have to do right now is post up your PayPal email to Sharon in the chat box. So just write that, and she'll get you paid this afternoon. So again, congratulations to Brad Hoffman for being this week's $100 marketing call winner. So with that, I want to thank all of you for being on this call. Again, we always appreciate having you. And again, these are every week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern. And again, thanks much, guys. If you have any other questions or if by chance we missed anything, you can always reach us at support@webfire.com or within the members area. Click on the help desk, and just in case there's ever like an email issue, and they'll always respond back within a day or less right there. So with that, guys, thanks much. And we look forward to seeing you next week, again, Wednesday at 2 p.m. Eastern time. So thanks much, and talk to you later.